I'm going to start by bruising some egos, which is always a great way to win a room, isn't it? What if the most important people in the future of the railway aren't in this room? Shocker. What if they are in our communities? They are on platforms now. They are building relationships between people and their local railway. Because as we move towards Great British Railways, we are making big structural decisions. But the success of this railway that's been touched on already today will ultimately depend on something much simpler. It will depend on trust. It will depend on relevance and connection to place. And that is exactly where community rail is already delivering and why it can shape the future. Around Britain today, there are 78 community rail partnerships. A handful of them are present in this room today, and it's lovely to see you. For those people that don't know what a community rail partnership is, oh dear, let's have a very quick run through. A CRP, a community rail partnership, are small community-based organisations working along railway routes. They connect their communities with the railways they serve, promoting the lines, delivering, empowering, enabling initiatives. And they're helping railway and transport partners put communities at the forefront. They're doing amazing work, from teaching young children about education and safety on the railways, about how to actually use the railways, how to buy a ticket in the first place, how to read a timetable, and all the really basic things that we take for granted. But if we're going to get the next generation of young people and children onto a train, they need to know how to use the network in the first place. And community rail partnerships are doing brilliant work there, as well as everywhere else. 1,300 station volunteer groups. That's over 10,000 volunteers busy working up and down the network, bringing people together through volunteering, through community gardening, arts projects, and other community-led activities. The next time you go to your station, you see a beautifully manicured flower hanging basket or a bed somewhere, or a fantastic new bit of artwork, I guarantee you somewhere you will see a Community Rail Network logo. And I've been in this job about 4 months, and it's almost like, you know, when you buy a new car and you've never seen anyone with your car before until you buy one, and everybody else seems to have exactly the same car because you've noticed it once. Once you see a Community Rail Network logo, that's it. You'll be spotting them forever on your next trip. And 100 community stations as well, where residents themselves have spearheaded the development and repurposing of station buildings for social enterprises, for community meeting spaces, and turning these stations into thriving community hubs. And the community rail movement is brought together by us proudly at Community Rail Network. We are the supportive umbrella, sharing ideas and good practice, increasing that impact and championing the movement's unique insights. And I'm proud to say, I'm pleased to say, considering the room I'm in, that GWR has consistently been a leader in supporting community rail, whether that's through strong partnerships, whether that's investment in local engagement, or backing award-winning projects across your network. And that commitment doesn't just benefit communities, it strengthens the railway itself, and it puts GWR in a really strong position as we move into the next phase of rail reform. And I should mention this because there's plenty of eyes on me from those CRPs going, will you mention the work that we're doing? Absolutely, yes, I will. And I'm proud to be the voice of CRPs here today. We can see how they impact the communities they serve. They win awards for the amazing work they do, from Devon and Cornwall to Sevenside, Transwilts, Gloucestershire and Oxfordshire and beyond. There are partnerships here delivering national leading work. Not just good examples of community rail, but award-winning, impactful and innovative projects. And this isn't about starting from something from scratch, it's about building on something that's already there. So my particular role is Director of Policy and Communications, and you wouldn't believe the amount of people that I end up spending my day with. A t-shirt and a suit. I've obviously nicked his style today at the same time. My role sits at the intersection of local, regional, and national, and it's genuinely a privilege to get to do the job that I do, because I amplify the voices of community rail partnerships, those station groups and passengers, and making sure the insight that we pick up at community rail level doesn't sit at the platform, it makes its way up to those decision makers. We are feeding into rail reform, the devolution agenda, the development of GBR and wider decision making across the industry, because The reality is, some of the most valuable insight in rail already exists. It's not just heard where it needs to be. And this moment really matters. We know it does. It's been mentioned many times before already. We are in the middle of a once-in-a-generation shift in how the railway is structured. GBR is emerging. Regional models are changing. And devolution is accelerating. Those new business units and new governance structures are being built, if not already have been built in some parts of the country. So the question is, how does community rail play its future in that system? So I come from a different perspective in this job, 4 months in this job. Before that, I served this fantastic woman who is Claire Ward, who's the Mayor of the East Midlands, and I'm somewhere poking on the far left of that picture. And I served as her head of office for the first 6 months that she was elected, and I can tell you I sleep an awful lot more than I did during those 6 months, and went through about 3 mobile phones before one eventually almost melted itself. And I don't miss that. And I love this one. And from that, my phone doesn't ring as often as it used to, and I appreciate that one. So I saw firsthand the power of devolution. And I will unapologetically say that I am a devolutionist. I think that we make the best decisions when we pass that power down to the people that can have the best impact, that can feed in their insights. Because if we know what's going on the ground, we make better decisions as we go up. And mayoral strategic authorities and new unitary councils, which some of you are trying to grapple with right now, no one cares who empties my bin, please just empty it. Who am I paying my council tax to? Just fix the potholes, etc., etc. But they are going to play an increasingly important role in shaping transport. Not just potholes, but rail as well. And what's interesting in this is community rail is already there. It's already embedded in places. It's already working with local stakeholders. It's already communicating with local residents and passengers. They already know what the community needs, and that's a huge opportunity. And as we can see from this particular slide, the structure of GBR and how Great British Railways is going to do all of the ticketing and the track and train, and how mayoral partnerships are going to look after timetabling and local needs. Community rail is in all 3 of those red boxes already, and it's our challenge to get into the blue box to make sure that we are working to support those wider priorities. So the opportunity for community rail is massive, and we are already delivering huge value, local insights, trusted relationships, and critically, social value at scale. Because this isn't just anecdotal. Trust me, it's on our website. In many places I've checked. Community rail generates around £129 million in social value every year. I would like to know what other organisation returns £18 for every £1 spent. There are politicians in the room today going, give me some of that, please. Thank you very much. And we generate that social value by tackling social isolation, helping people access jobs and education, supporting sustainable travel, and turning stations into real community hubs. There are so many amazing examples of this across the GWR network. But just to pick one, because I can see that they're here today, is Gloucestershire and Oxfordshire CRP, who are doing amazing work on inclusion and including voices that you would never normally get in those spaces, around accessibility, around belonging, around taking the railway out into the towns, villages and cities that they serve. And it makes for a stronger railway as a result. But the other thing is that I want to sort of pick up on is that untapped strategic potential, because right now community rail often sits alongside the system. Too many times I speak to CRPs and they go, we're sometimes thought of a nice to have. And that has to stop, and that is one of my priorities, because my ambition in rail reform is to make sure community rail partnerships move from being seen as a nice-to-have stakeholder to being recognised as a strategic partner in the railway, a partner that's embedded within GBR, with a seat at the table of those new GBR business units, a partner that is part of decision-making, not consulted after the fact, because there are some brilliant, amazing work happening across the network here, across the country. How many times has a station opened and someone's gone, that toilet door's not wide enough? that lift doesn't work. If community rail partnerships and voices from the community were involved at the very start, those problems wouldn't be there. At Community Rail Network, we've just published a suite of new policy papers aimed at influencing rail reform. Cheeky plug, they're on our website as well. So what does this actually look like in practice? It means community rail partnerships informing service design. It means bringing real passenger insight into timetabling and planning. It means helping shape local priorities, whether that's accessibility, inclusion, or growth. It means, like I've said before, and I'll keep banging this drum to anybody that will listen, to make sure that community rail partnerships have a formal role in those new business units, so that community knowledge is built into how decisions are made, not as a nice-to-have add-on, but as part of the system. In the last few weeks alone, I've had some really great conversations with colleagues at DFT, at DFTO, at Network Rail, fellow train operators about how we embed this thinking into GBR design. And my invitation and critical friend challenge to those at GWR today is to say, please allow us to be on that journey with you. It will make for a stronger railway experience for all. And the fact is that GWR is already doing really well in this space. I don't have favourites. I have a top 3 list, and you're definitely in it. You have, close to the top, you have shown brilliant leadership in social value and community engagement. I won't tell you where. You understand the importance of place in delivering a successful railway. The opportunity now is to build on that and integrate it into the structures that come next. So my ask is simple. There are so many people from different stakeholders in this room. Let's work together to make community rail an integral part of the future of the railway, to embed community rail partnerships within those business units, to strengthen the role of local insight in decision-making, and to ensure that the railway, as it evolves, it stays rooted in the communities it serves. Because if we get this right, we don't just reform the railway, we create a railway that is more inclusive, that is more responsive, and is more connected to place. A railway that works with communities, not just for them. Thank you.